Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the XWF podcast with your host, Chronic Chris Page, them no good bastards, Thunder Knuckles, Bobby Bourbon, and yes, if available, Bearded War Pig. And the action starts now.
Holy fucking shit. Here we go. Relentless 2021, guys. The XWF podcast, live and in living color, coming to you from beautiful Tampa, Florida on my end. Joining me today, TK, Bobby Bourbon, and still XWF World Tag Team Champions.
Ready to go up against Betsy and Lycana. They're phenomenal. Great writers. It was a tough one for us. But ultimately, we wound up walking away with it, and look forward to working with both of them again in the future. TK, what are your thoughts?
Well, it's glad to be back doing the podcast. We have an amazing show for you, probably our biggest one ever, right, Paige?
I would say so. I mean, this was a huge, huge show. Jam-packed all 3 nights. This is our WrestleMania. And we've got 2 really good guests coming in to join us. First and foremost, you know him. You love him. You know that you love him. Gator, welcome to the show, sir.
Hello again. Yeah, it's like, you can't get rid of me. I always think, like, the allure of why people like me is the accent, but I think everyone's just sick of me now. So, yeah, I hope I actually do decent this podcast instead of just be a drunken mess like usual.
Well, I think it's the drunken mess that we all love to enjoy. But nonetheless, it's good to have you on this program. It is going to be a huge show, and our other guest coming in, someone I'm excited to finally speak to. We go back almost 10 years now, and he's just recently come back into the Fed, got into a really hot angle with Thad Duke over the Hart Championship. I know that people are looking forward to hearing from him, so here he is, Mark Flynn. Welcome to the show, sir.
It is such an honor for you to have me on the program. It is such a big deal. It is so significant that I'm here, and I'm glad that I can provide that for you. It's good. It feels good.
I know that
Flynn is bringing
Bobby.
some star power that was much needed to the podcast. Mr. Flynn, I was wondering, quick question before we get started. If you were going to write for Saturday Night Live, what are some pointers that you would give out for that?
Oh, son of a bitch. Let's see. If I were to write for well, I think it's important to note I've submitted a packet to Saturday Night Live, and they did not enjoy it. So probably not the best person to ask. Probably. If I were to write, just be unoriginal. Just do a ton of stuff about whoever the president is. Because the Alec Baldwin will carry the sketch for you. What do you need to write jokes for? That's my take.
Right. My packet wasn't accepted either. Just a little aside, me and him, we're in the same little group on Facebook where we talk about submitting these packets, and not a lot of excitement this year, but hey, we'll keep. I want to send him the exact same thing for 4 years straight.
Why wouldn't you? Absolutely not.
Because somebody has to read it.
Yeah.
But that's also why I'm in the XWF, because somebody has to read my garbage.
So, but the best reason to create anything fiction artistic is out of spite, is just forcing someone to take in your garbage. It's the only reason I keep writing.
I wouldn't call any of it garbage because it's all highly entertaining. Mr. Flynn, you've also got TK with you, and you've got Gator on the line as well.
Yes. Excited.
This should be where you guys say hello.
Oh, hi.
Hey, how are you?
No, we don't have manners on our podcast. expect too much out of people.
Sure.
It's just crazy. Mr. Flynn, you're now in the mix, man, and you're coming in on a really good show. When you first came back into the Fed, I want to say I reached out to you, get you on one of these podcasts, and we settled on a either the pre-show or the post-show. You wanted to do the post-show. Here you are,
Yes.
the biggest pay-per-view of the year. You ready to jump into this?
Absolutely. Let's get it going. Let's make it happen.
All right. We're going to kick this off at Soldier Field, night one of Relentless. We're going to open the show with the first of three stages of hell, the 60-minute Iron Man match between Chris Page and Robert Main, in which our careers are on the line here. I mean, I wrote the match. I know how it played out. I wrote it with, there's a lot of psychology involved in it. I thought it was a really good way to kick off the pay-per-view itself, the series of Relentless over the course of the weekend. End of the day on this one, CCP is going to get the win here. Just one fall to none. Let me throw this out to TK. How did you see this as the opening match of Relentless Weekend?
Well, it definitely started things off hot. Yeah, that's what I got.
How about you, Bobby?
Well, in my opinion, just echo what TK said and expand on that. This match really was it was the pace setter for the entire weekend, and it definitely did what we needed it to do. I mean, it told an engaging story about two men that have had this long past, long history, finally getting down to resolve their differences, and you get this amazing opening match that's just killing the crowd and getting them involved at Soldier Field.
Mr. Flynn.
Just a solid opener. I think the one thing that's unique about the three stages of hell is the idea of opening with the Iron Man match, because then that gives you a lot of opportunity to play with energy level. Obviously, Paige and Main have had a number of interactions. I think the last three pay-per-views, they've gone at each other, getting involved in each other's stuff. So just a full fucking marathon of like, okay, Friday going into Saturday, Saturday going into Sunday. It's almost like a NBA finals is the fact that it goes back and forth over the course of 3 days. Really, really well written first match. Really, really good stuff.
It put Roberts back against the wall heading into night two, which is kind of what we wanted to go there. Moving into the first real segment of the show, I really dug this because it has all the champions involved, and we're debuting the new championship belts. We've got new tag titles for the Bastards, the new television championship, the Super Intercontinental Championship. All titles have been kind of rebranded here. So I want to go over to the Bastards on your take on the new tag titles.
I'd like to correct you. It is the Super Continental Championship, and that's a name. That is such a name. I don't know what Super Continental means, but I know I mean it when I say it. But the new tag titles, they're pretty swank looking. I dig it. TK, what do you think?
They are some beautiful belts. Vinny and Theo coming out and awarding the Bastards those tag titles. Felt good, man. Felt good.
What are we going to do with the old ones?
Oh, you'll have to wait and see.
I'm sure there's something out there. Gator, what are your thoughts on the rebranding and the new title belts?
Well, yeah, like Bobby, I have no idea what Super Continental means, but it sounds really cool. The new tag belts, I think they look very tacky and horrible, which really suits the Bastards. I think they're gonna wear them to perfection.
Mr. Flynn.
Since people were concerned, I decided to look up Supercontinent. That means you're the champion of Pangea, the larger when all the continents come together in the end times, you will be the champion of that, which carries an amount of significance. Title belts look really good. I remember a while back they made that thread, Theo and Vinny lamenting the design, and these look snazzy. These look really, really slick.
It's going to take us into match number 2. This one is another match on the card or throughout the weekend that had a really significant build behind it, with Centurion taking on God of Death. Sorry, brain fart. God of Death. This is a Raw brutality match. I believe they collab wrote this thing, and applause from me because this match is violent and takes things to a different level and kind of makes me view Centurion in a different light in character. Well done. At the end of the day, Centurion is going to take the win here. He's going to vanquish that nightmare from the past. Throw it out there to the panel, to any of you guys who want to jump in on it. What do you think about this, and how big was this win for Cent?
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll go ahead.
go ahead. I mean, that's all I got to say about it. Sent be the god. Like, well, man.
Yeah.
He committed deity.
There's a narrative around Cent that he's like over that he's been doing this so long that he doesn't have it. But this year alone, he's been the Anarchy champion. He was on the winning War Games team, and incredible performance in this match. Fucking crazy shit. Very good.
Okay, Gator.
Well, Cent pulled it off here. I expected it to a degree. Cent's good. Don't tell him I said it though.
Yeah, I was about to say I want to stay on brand and say fuck Centurion. It was a bad call from the ref. God of Death obviously got a shoulder up before the 3, but Centurion just bribed the ref apparently. Also, something else I do want to say, because I did the graphics for the show. Kind of unrelated completely, but God of Death's pick base is Danzig. Danzig is not looking hot nowadays. Holy shit, that man has gone downhill.
Centurion's going to take the win. We move into the little bitty tuxedo match with Billy B. Blankenship, Fabulous Freddy. Not a lot happening here. Fabulous Freddy's going to go over. I don't really think there's much to say.
What should have been the main event of every night turned out to be.
Why wasn't this 3 stages of hell, right?
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
This should have been 3 stages of hell.
Don't give Vinny any ideas.
That's a great idea. No, that is a great idea. Like 3 stages of hell, but it's all dress wear. So it's tuxedo, lingerie, sleep dressing gown, or whatever it's called. That'd be amazing.
I have a feeling when he hears this, he's going to book it for the lottery. Thanks, fucker. A match that had my attention was this triple threat with Anarchy title implications. We've had Elijah Martin, we've got Bianca McBride, and we've got Tara Phoenix. Three talents that have kind of been doing some things on Thursday nights. Locking up. The winner's going to get a shot at the Anarchy Championship at some point. This one's going to come down to Elijah Martin picking up the win here. Big boost for his character on Thursday nights. He's a newcomer to the Fed. He's already making some moves. The match is well written. Let me come over to you, TK.
Yeah, a lot of good work came out of this one. Elijah he picks up the win. I think he barely edged it out. Tara put out some good work too. So we'll see where this goes.
How about you, Bobby?
Good match, good work, good effort from everybody involved. It just goes to show that as long as you're willing to take a little bit of pride in what you're doing, that, whatever championship it is, you're going to put out good stuff. So, kudos to everybody involved.
Mark.
Oh, me?
Mr. Flynn.
Yes. Pretty good show. I wrote this one. I was very impressed to see Elijah Martin's promo, which is why I gave him a couple of the more strategic elements slipping out of the ring, and just trying to take advantage, letting the other two tire themselves out. I thought Tara also put together some really pretty decent work from all three people. Just really good stuff. It'll be interesting to see when Elijah decides to take advantage and go for the Anarchy title.
Gator, I know you don't watch Anarchy or you don't follow Anarchy, but what do you think about this one?
Yeah, when you were saying Thursday night, I was like trying to wrap my brain thinking what shows on the Thursday night. Um, no, I really like Elijah Martin. I think he's out like a lot of the new guys that have come in. I think he's kind of teetering to be one of my favorite guys. But yeah, I'm really happy he got the win. I really I'm liking his RPs, and shout out to Flynn because like I always said, where he had Elijah Martin being the sneaky cunt heel, it does shine through in the match as well. So good work on that, and Elijah Martin, well done on winning. I'm very proud of you.
Elijah Martin's a really good follow on Twitter too, by the way. Keeps it entertaining. Mark, I didn't know that you had wrote this match, brother. This is a good read. Well put
Thank
together.
you.
Well done.
Oh, nice.
We've got another little mysterious promo that's kind of been showing up throughout the shows. Is next the sweet sounds of ABBA, if you choose to listen to the video. Vinny Lane and Private Dick. You know what? Mr. Gator, you would be more inclined here to give me the rundown on this one. This is Private Dick, correct?
Yes, and this was all Lane because I was stupidly busy this week going into it. So I told Lane, I told everyone about the idea, but Lane just went full force with it. And he did such a fucking incredible job. Like, I'm so happy with how it turned out. I guess I will apologize because I wanted to do like a lot more with the Private Dick segments, but again, ran out of time, couldn't do much. But yeah, Lane killed it, and this is just Private Dick trying to interrogate people to find out who ran over Noah Jackson. Which I don't know who ran over Noah Jackson, and even though I'm writing it. So it's going to be fun finding out.
So that's just the best shit to do, right? It's going to take us into the Anarchy Championship match. Big Money Oswald defending against Latina Submission Machina. Latina had taken Ozzy's $1 billion championship. We get to the grand stage. Another well-written match. Latina is gonna become the new Anarchy Championship here, guys, or new Anarchy Champion. Excuse me, guys. What's this say for Thursday nights, and what's this do for Ozzy? Bobby, let me come over to you first.
Late match. Both Latina Submission Machine and Ozzy, they put forth good work. I liked reading what they put out. There had to be a winner. The winner was Latina Submission Machine. And then I think on Anarchy, you have those built-in stories now because, you have Vita over there. You have Ruby over there. So I think that this opens up a lot of really interesting matchups for the Anarchy title on Anarchy. Plus Elijah Martin, he's in line. So Elijah versus Latina Submission Machine, that's going to be a good match too.
I think you're 100% correct. There's a lot of doors that can open for a lot of different characters to spice up the show. And I don't think Ozzy's done here either. I think he's going to bounce back and he's going to get that motherfucker back at some point. TK, chat me up. Latina Submission Machine and Ozzy.
Yeah, this was a fun read. The ones they put out for it, I think it was one apiece, right? I read both of them. They were both really good, so that had to be a hard judgment call right there. Latina Submission Machina picks it up. Can't wait to see what she does with the Anarchy Championship. And Ozzy couldn't bounce back from this easy. Let's see if he can get himself back in that picture.
Mark, let me come over to you.
This is obviously, I think, their second match, the first one for the $1 billion championship. Possibly. Now, I was hoping that the feud between Latina Submission Machina and Big Money Oswald would end in the courtroom because of the ongoing legal dispute over the championship belt. Unfortunately, it seems like they've completely settled out of court, which is just a missed opportunity. But the fact that this is the second victory in a row for LSM, very impressive. She's been putting together some solid work. It's important to remember, just as was previously said, Ozzy can very easily bounce back. He originally got the title from Send, so just got to put the right pieces together, and he's right back in the mix.
Gator.
Yeah, once again, I have no idea what anarchy is. Some kind of witchcraft to me. Uh, but when I said before about how like Elijah Martin is like one of my newer favorite, well, out of the new lot is one of my favorites. Like Latina Submission Machina is definitely up there as well. I think she is really good, has amazing character that I really like, does really good RPs. Happy that I like Oswald, but I'm happy she got the win, and I'm really excited to see what she's gonna do with it. But yeah, Money Oswald's been doing really, really well recently as well, and I do think like this is like a hiccup for him. I do think he can bounce back and do some good stuff, preferably on a show that exists and not Anarchy.
Love you for that. It's going to take us into another attraction match. John Samuel, Sebastian Duke. We only got one side of the coin here coming in. Sebastian's going to take the win. I think what's more show stealing here is what happened with Mr. Duke after the fact. That is pulling some serious character development here. So let me throw this around because I want to get everybody's take on it. Mark, I'm gonna start over with you because you've worked with him for the last on and off for the last couple of months.
Sure. What a goddamn disappointment that John Samuels didn't show up. And I'm not just saying that because it would have been a little bit more on Duke's workload and might have helped me out. But neither here nor there. Yeah, Sebastian Duke returning after I think a couple years to come back only to immediately get physically shut down with an ambush by his son, who does not want to share the spotlight, has no interest in his dad coming back and getting, especially given the excitement around Sebastian Duke's return, and given Thad's heel status, no interest in having his dad just hover around getting cheap pops. So, ass out, and impressive.
He's slow burned this little heel turn for so long, and it's good to see that he finally took the plunge with it because I do think it opened a lot of doors for him character wise. TK, let me come over to you. Thad taking out the old man.
Yeah. When you want to do shitty things, you take out dear old dad, right? Not all dads sit in the corner and jack off, you know.
Not all dads.
Not all dads. Gator, what do you think, bud?
Oh well, I love not all dads. Yeah, just to echo what Matt said, like it's so disappointing that Sammy didn't show up. John Samuels is like one of my favorite like characters. He's wrote my favorite RP ever, which is called The Whole Fist. If you ever want to check that out, it's a great read. But I also know Sammy's prone to no showing, which is why I decided to write that match because I'm a real life heel. And it was going to be a no show. But yeah, with Fad, Fad just being a cunt, really, throwing a little temper tantrum. He's edging back towards that Jack Gleason pick base, which I'm worried about as well. But yeah, I really like the way Fad's going at the moment. I think he's playing it really, really well. And like the segment was just like a little cherry on top of this arc that he's doing. So good on him.
it's going to take us into the main event. And you want to talk about a main event that sets the tone for the entire fucking weekend? You look at this electrified steel cage match for the tag titles. Them no good bastards against Lacana and Betsy Granger. Lots of story here between Betsy and Bobby. Lot happening with this electrified cage involved. I will throw the shout out to Dolly Waters for writing this match. It was a tremendous fucking read. I'm you've got it all here. At the end of the day, one thing happens, and that's a rainbow laser death sequence, which leads to successful title defense. TK, let me come over to you first. Let's talk about this match, man, and talk about just to me, it's as far as writing wise, it's probably one of the best tag matches I think I've read in a while.
I'm going to go on record. Bobby had to bounce out of here. I think I could speak for Lycana and Betsy both as well. This match was fantastic. For a guy who does not like to write gimmick matches, he did a fantastic job writing this thing. I just want to thank him, and I know they would thank him if they could for a tremendous match.
You guys come out on top. What are your thoughts on that? You guys seem to be, and I mean this in the nicest possible way because I know she's listening. You seem to smack Lacana around frequently, and it seems like you guys have been smacking Betsy around too more often than not.
Well, yeah, that I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. I'm just not doing it.
Mark Flynn, main event of night one. Give me your thoughts, man.
Damn, like Betsy obviously pulled some real tricks. The ongoing narrative between her and Bobby, where she's been getting the wins when they go one-on-one, but can't put the pieces together in a tag match. Really, it just goes to show how dominant the Bastards have been. If she wants to keep going this route, she's really gonna have to get creative, really get experimental to figure it out. Because, as has been said many times on this podcast, the Bastards are one of the most dominant, possibly the most dominant tag team in the history of the Fed. Fucking amazing.
Well, thanks. That means a lot coming from you. I like that. Thank you.
All right, but when I
you are
say it, it's
talking.
nothing. Fucking hell. All right,
Shut
cunt.
up, Gator. Jesus. Not everything's
Oh my
about you.
God.
Don't fucking have a goddamn drink. I'll get to you in just a second. What I was about to say, TK, that's coming from a former XWF tag champion, multiple time, if I'm not mistaken. But Mr. Flynn, correct me if I'm wrong. I think you and I danced with those belts before too,
Yes, very true.
in some form or fashion. So that's coming from from another former tag champion. TK.
Mm-hmm.
So there's weight to saying the best because that's what the
Gator
Bastards
is too. Let's be fair. Let's stroke his ego some because everything's about
Oh,
Gator.
no, it's fine. Carry on. No, it's okay. You know, two-time former tag champ, but it's fine. I compliment you guys all the time. Doesn't mean shit, apparently.
Doesn't mean fuck. Doesn't mean dick.
Fucking hell.
Tell me how you really feel, Gator.
I think you're a piece of shit. I'm sure, yeah, Dolly did an amazing job writing this match, but it was all for nothing because the fucking finish was dog shit because those bastards won. Who gives a shit about the bastards anymore? You know,
Amen, brother. Amen.
This is coming from a former Universal Champion, former Tag Champion, former TV Champion. You know, I'm only saying what everyone wants to hear, and that's that the bastards should have lost this because of shit and nobody cares about them. And maybe I'm just going to stop editing podcasts from now on as well.
Oh, this guy, I love him. The post match.
Can we skip
We've
this?
got that.
Can we skip the post-match? We don't really need to talk about them at all, do we?
Well, it's a good question. It's a good
Not
question.
about giving people who don't deserve it the limelight.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a very good point from an XWF standpoint. So,
or did they just show
we-
up rudely and take up some TV time with their untalented fucking ability and their ambushing post a very good match? Way to grandstand. Why would we dignify them with discussion?
Exactly.
This night ends with the Bastards retaining the XWF Tag Team Championship, guys.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's was and is, as far as a night one of Relentless, Gator, this is where you're very detrimental. You've seen so many of these fucking Relentless weekends. How does night one shape up with some from the past?
Not at all. Not worth it. I don't want to talk about it. I'm joking. I'm sorry. No, night one was a fucking amazing, really good show. With shape, you can't compare Relentless to another Relentless. Like, I think each pay-per-view has its highlights, like, you know, some shine better than the others, but every pay-per-view we do, I think we're, like, as a roster that we have, I think we're really good at it. It's like every single time we put out a pay-per-view, people manage to find a way to outdo the last one we did, and we've been keeping that going forward for the last 3 years. So, like, this show was fantastic. The first night was great. The second night was also great as well. But we'll get into that.
Now I'm going to spoil everybody's parade here, and I am going to talk about what happened after the tag match. Yeah,
right.
I know.
You're fucking.
I gotta beat one. Listen, you can't be a tag champion in two places and not talk about the other place, right? So, what happened was, after the main event,
And that's our show. Vinny, take us out.
All right. After the match, Cyrus Riddle and Jason Cash come out and attack the Bastards. So
we have you. Now, who exactly are these guys?
These guys are challenging them No Good Bastards at Masters of Macabre on October 10th for the OCW tag titles. So them being here makes sense. Everything worked out, and it's going to be fun.
And this is in direct retaliation of one Theo Price showing up on a OCW paper. Was it a pay-per-view or was it
he showed up on a pay-per-view a couple months after the Bastards, started everything. Theo, he's got to get in there, right?
I mean, he is the boss. He's one of them.
That's the thing, though. He isn't even the boss. He's like the boss's bitch. He just rides on coattails all the time.
He's got the fingers in the boss's bitch's pie, or the boss has his fingers in the bitch's pie. Reality is this: they invade on this night. They leave the Bastards laying. Well, obviously, this is going to be a big story moving forward for the weekend. Anybody else want to talk about it, or are you guys going to be firm on being no selling?
Well, I just forgot everything that TK said, so.
If I may, real quick, and this is a question for TK. I don't watch the minor leagues, so I'm unfamiliar with either of you. But if you had to compare the experience you just went through, competing against Betsy and like kind of versus your upcoming challenge, how would you scale? Is this going to be a night off for you? Is this going to be more difficult? What are you thinking going into this other show?
The OCW show, the guys we're going up against are very talented. The rules over there are like 2,000 words tops with 250 overage. And they grade a little differently over there. It's not our style really. So, it's a different level of difficulty, I guess. It's That's the best way I can put it, I think.
I see.
Can I translate for TK here?
Thank you.
Okay. So what TK is trying to say is that it is not going to be a night off. It's going to be a 2-week paid vacation. Truly, this is going to be the easiest match he's ever had to have in his life, as he's facing what is the equivalent to wrestling in a school gymnasium.
That sounds about right. That's what I thought.
Sweet. Well, that's gonna end night one. Let's TK. Let's roll right in night two, brother.
All right, night two. We are coming from the guaranteed rate field, not Soldier Field. I just want people to know that September 25th, the Saturday show, was at the guaranteed rate field, not Soldier Field. We start the show off with
whoever runs our Twitter needs to get that straightened out, right?
Words hurt, guys. We start the night off again with Robert Main and Chris Page. 3 stages of hell. Trying to think of what kind of match this was. I can't remember which kind of match it was. Page?
No holds barred.
No holds
No
barred.
holds barred.
That's right. And we have Robert Main picking up the win here. Robert Main ties the scoreboard, right? 1-1.
Yes, sir.
Gator, your thoughts?
I don't watch the openers.
You don't watch the openers? I don't blame you.
No. It was another good match, I guess. I don't really care that much. I'm happy Paige lost.
It was a well-written match.
It was all right.
Mark, I don't know why the fuck are you shitting all over me today, buddy? What did I do to deserve this?
I'm just looking at it now. I can see a few typos. There's some coding errors. I mean, it was meh. Could have been better. Sloppy work, really, overall. No holds barred as well. It's not very imaginative. I mean, a lingerie match would have been a bigger draw, but yeah, here we are.
Mark, please get this shit back on the rails.
Oh, sure, of course, absolutely, yeah. One thing I think you can tell just how much Main and Page despise each other, based on the fact that Main not only performed Page's own move to finish the match, the Page plant on him, but did it through thumbtacks and glass. That's not a thing you do to someone you like. That's kind of an asshole, kind of a dick thing. And that's how you definitely get the vibe that these two are not going for the win, but to never have to see the other at work again.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said.
The best part of this match, and if you didn't catch it the first time, shame on you. There's a maneuver that's pulled off in this that is rarely done. It's the dreaded second rope fist drop. I don't know if you guys caught that in this match or not, but it's there. It happened.
The deadliest rope.
Yeah, no shit. It was devastating. It garnered a near fall.
What I will say, what I like about this match and the match previous was Page working the body of Robert Main to avoid the dead man's hand throughout the weekend. I want to point that out because that did happen.
Yeah, there was a lot from match 1 into match 2, which we'll wrap this up in when we talk about the third stage, because thanks for pointing it out, because that's a thing and that's a trend throughout all these matches if you paid close attention to it. The finish of this was by design. I wanted him to beat me with my finish because I thought that would be something that, like on Twitter, because he started to get a little bit more active, that he could, knock me around with on Sunday leading into the final stage. and have to beat you with my move. I beat you with yours,
Mm.
and he did, and it was good. I liked how it turned out overall, and it's was what it was. It's tied up, and we go to night 3 to resolve it all.
It is very refreshing, I will say, to see a match end with Paige's finisher.
Damn.
Plenty of my matches that end with Paige's finisher. Go back and read them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Gator's on a hate mode right now. I don't know why.
Mm.
He's a fan, that's for sure.
I'm drinking whiskey. So,
I am too, but I'm not gonna get mean yet. Maybe I need to catch up.
Mm.
Here's to you, sir. By the way,
That brings us to our next match. Ricky Goldhart and a name I cannot say.
Oh, okay.
I won't say their racist name. And they face Dave Mustaine and Johnny Steele, the Disintegrators. Picking up the win is the Canadian Japanese connection. I can't say I didn't see this happening. I think it's a good little start for the Canadian Japanese connection here. So, Mark.
I mean, clearly a sign that Freddie Fabulous was more focused on his own tuxedo match than giving a healthy amount of guidance and leadership to his team. Clearly, a little bit too much ego from that end, and Ricky and Coyote managed to pull out their second victory in 2 pay-per-views. Now, at this point, if they want to keep fighting the Disintegrators or if they want to move up and start challenging other tag teams, that seems like it's largely up to them.
I couldn't have said it any better myself. Gator.
yes. Yeah, it's a shame that Ricky and Kaidai won because I love the Disintegrators RPs. They're some of the funniest stuff I've ever read. Really entertaining. Again, I did the graphics for this, well, the inside pay-per-view. This picture of Michael P.S. Hayes is going to haunt me in my fucking nightmares. Yeah, but yeah, the match was like solid. It was a fun like match, and yeah, not really much else to say on it. Well done to the racist team.
And we're going to send it over to Paige.
I think you guys said about all.
Nailed it. Next up, we have a segment here submitted by JB. It's good stuff. Give it a read. Which goes into our next match. Ned Kaye versus Drew Archive. Last man standing. I don't know who wrote this one, but I love this match. It's one of my favorite.
Edski wrote this one.
Nedski wrote it. It's one of my favorite of night 2. Super great match. And the result ends up being a no contest.
Womp, womp, womp. It had me up until the finish. I'm that guy. It was a really, really, really good match. The finish was flat to me. It was the last man standing. I think we could have done something and got a winner out of it. But that's just, my thought. Didn't mean to jump in on you, but the match itself is really well done. I don't want to take away from that, but the finish is left a little bit to be desired.
Yeah, you could tell Ned wrote this match because like the first paragraph there's a coding error. Ha, fuck you, Ned. But no, it was a really well written match, and I know Ned's. Sorry, Mark. Didn't mean to interrupt you then.
No, I was just going to say there's a coding error on word 1, which you'd think
Yeah,
would be the first thing you'd look at. That is
exactly.
immediate.
That's how you can tell it's a Ned classic.
Mm-hmm.
Formatting is always going to be his true rival. Um, but it's a well written match, and you can tell like Ned wrote this match just to further a storyline, of which he definitely did. He's still got like Robert Bain on the brain, and it comes through in the writing that like Ned, the character, is not over the whole Apex thing, and he did a great job on it.
Conflicted
And I'm
about
very,
it for sure.
yeah, yeah, conflicted is a good word for it. And yeah, he did a great job on it. Again, it's a shame that it was a no contest, but in the grand scheme of things, it does make sense of why it was a no contest, I guess.
All right. Next up, we have a number 1 contender for the TV title, Jim Jimson versus Captain Slaymore. I sound disappointed because I am disappointed. I didn't get to read some Jim Jimson, and it hurts. And that's all I have to say about it. Gator?
Mm-hmm.
Nah, yeah, I think you got it covered there, mate. Honestly, it's always sad not seeing a Jim RP who legit just forgot he opted in, which is hilarious.
Mark?
My heart is broken. My disappointment immeasurable.
I might
And
have
your
to
day
take a
is
minute.
ruined.
I might.
Yeah.
Are you a little verklempt?
I'm a little. Then Big D comes out and makes it worse, you know?
You know what's funny is I agree with what you just said, and that's
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you make disappointment worse? Put Big D in the match.
he's gonna hear this and be like, "Fuck TK, bro," and I have to agree with you.
oh,
Mm.
just giving you shit, D. But I do agree.
Following that, we have Rampage versus Vita for the television championship. This was a good match. Again, I don't know who wrote it. Really good stuff. Vita ends up taking the win and becoming the new XWF television champion. Who's television champion? Gator. Gator, you were a TV champ. Your opinion?
Oh, now you want my opinion? Okay.
Well, of course.
No,
It
fine,
has
yeah.
nothing to do with me.
No, yeah, this was a really good match. I don't know who wrote it either, but well done to anyone who the person that did. I think it's nice to see like a proper rematch between Vita and Rampage, and shout out to Rampage for the stip for this match, the steak and heart match. Like fucking chef kiss idea. But yeah, it was really well done. Like really good match. I just realised who wrote this match. It was Big D. I could tell with the massive amounts of ellipses in it. Uh, and yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Vita getting a TV title back, Vampire Vita. And I think I'm hoping to see a good run from her. Hopefully, life doesn't get in the way again like it did last time.
Yeah, let's hope. Let's hope not. Again, I want to reiterate what Gator just said. I love it when a TV champion really goes above and beyond to pick a match stip that isn't, you know, common. Something you see every day on the programs. So,
Mm.
kudos for the match stip. Mark.
There's no disappointment to be had when you lose to a vampire. It's just you're really fighting from underneath at all times. Yeah, I'm sure Rampage is a little disappointed. I don't know how many matches end where you're a literal blood smear, but I mean, you just pick yourself up however you can. I'm sure maybe you have some scientists by the side that can clone him and rebuild him and just show up again next week. That's all it is. Very still managed to get the TV title in his first month. Still very strong year. He'll bounce back from being a bloodstain. He'll find a way.
like the true greats do.
Mm-hmm.
Paige?
Well, shout out to Vita for reclaiming the television championship. Um, excuse me, guys. I do think that the stipulation was incredible. Did get a chance to chat with him on the fireside chat. We talked in length about the stip and how he came up with it, and it was fun and it was executed well. At the end of the day, Vita comes out on top, and I want to sidebar this because I got to read all the role plays for this series because I'm enthralled with the Vita story being the vampire, and Rampage did some pretty good stuff for this too. So shout out to both of them for entertaining the fuck out of me this week or last week, excuse me.
Moving up next, we have a segment, and it looks like Mephisto has returned. Does anybody know who Mephisto is?
Anybody
If you
care
didn't,
who Mephisto is?
oh, good point. Never mind. I will keep my opinion to myself.
Okay. Well, Mephisto was on Anarchy. That's why I asked. Because, Gator doesn't know that show exists. I don't think Mark was around whenever Mephisto was doing his thing. He had a big
Nope.
feud for the Internet Championship at the time with Big D. So I'm glad to see his return.
I like the pick base, 100%.
Mm-hmm. Next up, we have John Black and Atara Themis for the #1 contender for the Extreme title. This was an excellent set of role plays from these two. I really enjoyed what they were putting out, but at the end of the day, Atara Themis walks away the XWF Extreme Champion #1 contender. Mark, go to you first this time.
It's something that came up maybe a month and a half ago. This is completely the same the same week that I started was the same time JB wrote a promo as Tommy Wish. I feel a lot of connection subsequently with JB. I can't. It's been so good watching him get better and better over the last decade, which is crazy. I feel a lot of affinity. At some point he's gonna skyrocket and put the pieces together for a title run. But if you are gonna lose to somebody, Atara's work is crazy good. So I mean, adding 3 belts for a reason. So just keep going, John Black. You beautiful bastard. You'll get there. You'll get there, kid.
Gator. Yeah, I think Mark kind of nailed it on the head with that. Like, again, because like we were back, I was back in like 2014, and like it is amazing to see how much John Black has grown as like a character and a writer even more. Like he's like improved so much. Something that I do love JB for is he does a lot of, like segments and like news and threads rumors and looking for fight rumors. Like he promotes a match really really well. I feel, which a lot of people don't do as well. But yeah, like Atty's fantastic. I love Atty's work, and it's a shame because I know John Black is really really good, but Atty is just that little bit better. And again, Atty 3 belts for a reason, and I love her work, and she pulled out the win. And good job to her.
I can't wait till he puts together all the pieces and makes a run, and everybody cowers at the feet of John Black. I just cannot wait for that.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it.
He did have a great extreme title run a long while ago. I can't remember when. It might have been last year or the year before. But he was extreme champion for a little bit, and he did fucking amazing with that.
Paige.
I mean, I don't know how I top what was said by Mark and Gator. I was really impressed with the showing from Atara and from JB both, and thought that they both did some good stuff here. The match was great. It was placed right where it needed to be placed, and the right person went over at the end of the day. And I have to echo your sentiment, TK, because it's not a matter if, it's a matter of when. When JB puts it all together, he's gonna be fucking dangerous.
Well, that leads us to our main event of the evening. Jim Cadis versus Dolly Waters for the Extreme Championship. This match is fantastic. When I said earlier that that was one of my favorite matches of the night, it was only overshadowed by this match. This thing was a bloodfest. At the end of the day, though, Jim Cadis walks away the winner. Gator, let's go to you.
Yeah. Again, this is a fucking incredible. Again, I don't know who wrote this, but shout out to them. Absolutely amazing job with it. It was such a good match to read. I'm a big fan of like bloodbaths, rewriting and stuff like that. And like whoever did it nailed it completely. And I feel sorry for the judges for that one because I've read both like Dolly and Jim's like IPs, and from when I was looking, it was like tight all the way, and I'm sure the judges had a really rough time trying to figure out the winner. But my boy Cadis gets the win over Dolly, and I'm sure by a cunt's hair he managed to get the win. But no, good on him.
Mark.
Jim Cadis is my favorite Extreme champion of all time. I don't know if he's the best, but the fact that he kicks out at 11:58 every time is, oh my god, just the best way to use the meta to enhance interest is just how many times I've gone in like a fool. He makes me look like a rube every time. Every time I'm like, oh shit, it's 11:54. What if this time he doesn't? And he does every time. His kick out content has just been fucking amazing. Very good work. This is one of the matches that has been playing out because of course Dolly had pinned Jim at War Games, and then Corey had pinned Dolly later that night at War Games. This was a chance to blow off and see who actually deserved to escape War Games with the Extreme title, and very just like Gator said, very good work by Dolly. But I'm super excited that Jim won only because it keeps this train going. I want this to never stop. To never stop.
Yeah, his kickouts, he's never generic with them either. I really, really like that.
Mm-hmm.
Paige.
First of all, Gator, you're welcome. Uh, I don't have a whole lot to say about this one because I did write it, and it had been probably 7 or 8 years since I had written any kind of like barbed wire thing. So I didn't know if I nailed it, and the fact that I was just told that I nailed it, that's awesome because that's what I was going for. Um, I wanted to showcase both of them uh, because they both deserved it. Jim's been a rock star since he came back to the Fed earlier this year. Dolly's really turned it on over the last 6, 8, 9 weeks, going back to prior to War Games. They both deserve the main event spot of one of these nights, and I felt like kind of obligated to give them something special, and I'm glad I did that for them. They deserved it.
Now before we go on and finish night 2 here, I'm going to give Gator the chance to retract his former statement if he'd like.
I appreciate that very much. I retract my former statement. Trash match shouldn't be in the main event.
Thanks, bud.
Well, at the end of the night, Dolly's being checked on, and then out of nowhere, OCW strikes again, guys. They come out
Boo.
and boo them. Bam Miller comes out and beats the tar out of Jim Cadis. I can't wait to see how that one plays out. Anybody got an opinion on this? Or are we still holding strong?
Well, I do have something to say because I did check out the that small little trash indie fed, and I saw that the main event was Bam Miller versus an XWF fan, and I
Yes.
think anyone who thinks a pro wrestler versus just a random guy in a crowd is main event worthy has probably the worst opinions I've ever seen, and it's just stupid. It's worse than a Page match.
I mean, it's a clear indication of how low the talent bar is when you can pull someone out of the stands and put them into the set, and it's as big a draw as the people you pay on a regular basis. So, isn't that how that goes?
Very well said, though. Yeah.
So before we get into night 3 of Relentless, some real life shit going on. Mark Flynn had to step away. We'll get him back on a future episode. Bobby Bourbon had to step away as well. Obviously he'll be back on our next podcast. But in their absence, we've kind of bulked up the show here for a second. First and foremost, let me bring in the other piece of cunt and cuck in the morning. Did I say it right that time, Gator?
You did say it right that time. Well done.
Badass. It only took like 19,000 weeks. We'll bring in your tag team partner, Mr. Ned Kaye. Welcome back to the podcast, sir.
Thank you very much, Chris. It's been a rough time to not be in a broom closet, but I'm back. I'm feeling a bit better. I'm hoping to record once again. And I'm really ready to discuss night 3 of Relentless because this shit got crazy.
I know I speak for your tag team partner when I say we're looking forward to you guys getting back into the broom closet. But in the meantime, welcome to the big studio, the A show, if you will. Glad to have you here. We've also got coming off of night 1, a championship opportunity was awarded to Mr. Elijah Martin. Is able to cruise in and kind of take part of night 3. Welcome to the show, sir.
Hey, I'm just glad to be on the part of the show where we celebrate 2 men coming out of the closet together. Congratulations.
Thank you. It means a lot.
And last but not least, and still. Is that the hashtag? Is that what the cool kids say? Hashtag and still. XWF Universal Champion. Alias, welcome back to the show, sir. Glad to have you.
Thanks for having me back. And in stark contrast to the professor there, I am absolutely not prepared to talk about this. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, I think it's fairly safe to say that Gator, TK, and myself have indulged a little bit in the adult beverages tonight. So it's going to make this show even that much more interesting to get through. And to steer that ship, filling in for Bobby Bourbon, who had to step away for some real life stuff. I'm going to throw it over to the one and only Mr. Gator. It's all yours, brother.
Thank you, Mr. Page. He said we've been indulging. I'm drunk as fuck. So let's get through this. Sunday, 26th September, live from Chicago Land Speedway, comes night 3, Relentless, A Long Slow Goodbye. And we start the show off with a terrible segment that the handler, whoever wrote that, should feel disappointed in himself. So I'm just going to skip it. And we go into the final stage of hell with Robert Main and Chris Page. Again, terrible match. Absolutely diabolical, disgusting, shit match. But with Robert Main coming out the victor. And I believe this means that Page can't wrestle anymore ever again. Is that correct, Page?
Yes, the career was on the line.
It's a shame. Well, tell you what, why don't we go to you first, Page? Because you wrote this match and, this is your story. So let's get your thoughts on it first off.
Well, there's no need to backtrack the Page Main drama that's kind of unfolded over the last couple of years. But this was the culmination of the story and of the angle itself. It ended where it was supposed to end 2 years ago. Um, the match itself, key takeaways. The entire weekend, if you followed the Iron Man match, you would see that Page pinpointed Robert's leg, his right knee. And then he would also work on the right shoulder or the neck, all in an attempt to avoid the dead man's hand. In the instances where Maine has beaten Page, it's been with the dead man's hand. It was almost like it was Page's kryptonite. Um, Robert's influence on this match came into play where the shifting of the characters took place. And if you followed the story, you know Cataclysm and the Beast personality and the Omega personality and the Monstrosity and the Monster personalities. They're all there. He thought it would be a really good idea if we crossed our personalities in this last match, and I kind of agreed with it, so we did it. And I figured a way for it to kind of make sense. You get to the final stretch where the lights go out that last time, and the Monstrosity comes up through the ring. Page was not able to transition himself into the monster, which was a key takeaway, which ultimately led to my quote unquote EFED career as Chris Page being ended by Robert Maine. Ned, let me go over to you.
Well, the first thing I want to say is despite Gator's drunken rambling to the contrary, I felt this match was absolutely perfect. I'm currently being stepped on by a cat, so forgive me if my thoughts aren't as typically well thought out as they would be. However, the thing I really loved about this series of matches was the fact that you have one of the most legendary feuds in XWF history ongoing, and its culmination is to open every night of Relentless. What could be more fitting? What could be more perfect? You mentioned the arrival of the beast and the monstrosity in kind of these twisted, forms, if you will. And that applied this extra level of gravitas on top of the career being on the line, on top of these huge stakes. These men were ready to go through hell, and they travel through the other's personal hell to see if they can make it there. And Robert just barely gets there. He gets the dead man's hand, despite Page's attempts to kind of disarm him, no pun intended, and he seals it away. And I think this was such a great blow off and a way to quote unquote end the in-ring career of Chris Page. I thought it was just absolutely wonderful and suitably epic. Those were my thoughts.
I want to get into the aftermath momentarily. TK, I'm gonna go over to you, and then you guys can take it from there.
Yeah, the match was well written. As much shit as we've given Page tonight, it was a good match. He was unable to avoid the dead man's hand that he was desperately trying to avoid the entire weekend. Right? He worked the body to stop Maine from hitting it, but he still does. I think that was a fitting end of Robert Maine and Chris Page.
Elijah.
Well, first off, I'd like to have a quick sidebar and say that Ned being stepped on by a cat is the first time he's had a personal encounter with pussy since coming out of the womb. Anyways, now,
what are you talking about? I'm a pussy magnet. That's why it came up to me, motherfucker.
Get him.
Right.
We're not shooting shots on this podcast, brother. Hit me with your thoughts here.
No, but on a serious level, given my background outside of this with just obviously being a wrestling fan for such a long time, but also having some experience for a few years as a ring announcer and a character with different independent wrestling companies, I've gotten to a point where I've grown to more appreciate the art of storytelling and being able to bring out the best out of everyone you're working with. And I feel like what we saw over the course of this weekend is exactly that. We saw Chris bring the best out of Robert, Robert bringing the best out of Chris. You could see it in the role play writing, you can see it in the match writing. And it's just it had it had a bit of a feeling too of um very much so like the labors of Jericho that we saw recently with AEW. I felt like it had a similar taste to that, as far as the different characters that Jericho would impersonate over the course of those, which is apropos considering Chris's pick base. Um, but overall, I thought just tremendous storytelling, start to finish, the whole weekend, and this match was just the apex of it all.
Champ, we're coming over to you.
Yeah, it was a fitting end to a really, really significant story that has gone on for years now. Um, I'm going to be curious to see how the whole monstrosity stuff plays out, because I think there was an explanation Robert gave at one point that I'm going to be interested to see how he comes back to. But there's a lot of stuff that happens in the post match here, and I know we've still got I don't know. Has everybody had a chance to talk on that? Because should I segue over there now?
Yeah, you can segue over there now.
So post match, we see Bob come down. So no good bastards, Aussie, Fury, and then Chris Page eats a Bobby bomb. We
Yes,
see the rainbow laser death sequence come out. We see an appearance from and I've missed I think it was night 2, but Vampire Vita Valentine. Fucking love Vampire Vita Valentine. And the very makeup of Bob, it shifts pretty significantly. Yuri and Paige are out. Valentine's in.
Gator, let me go over to you.
Oh right. Yeah, whatever. It's a Chris Page match. Okay.
We're talking about the aftermath where I got the shit
Oh
kicked
right,
out
the
of me.
aftermath. Okay.
What mattered? The what mattered?
The point. Oh, the point that mattered. Yeah. That point. Okay. No, it's always great to see Chris Page get the shit kicked out of him, and then even after a match, when he thinks his friends have appeared to support him and go for a hug, he gets the shit kicked out of him even more. I think it's like a really cool story point where it's like, Paige is kind of like being the head of Bob for quite a long time now, and he's kind of steered him in such a path for it to culminate into just a fucking shit kicking like this. And it's going to be really interesting to see where Bob go after this. Is like, are they going to like promote someone else to take that kind of leader role, or is it going to be like dogs without horses and they're all running wild?
Well, there's somebody who can answer that. TK.
Well, I am sad to mourn the passing of Bob, but Bob is dead. Yep. Bobby delivering the Bobby bomb to Chris Page. Vita coming out, making it look like she's trying to stop the bastards from doing dastardly things the way Vita does. But no, she starts beating the shit out of Miss Fury. After that, Vita puts Page into a variation of the Rings of Saturn and makes him watch as Miss Fury takes the rainbow laser death sequence. I'm sure there's more of this to come, but I haven't wrote it yet, so what's up?
Professor.
Well, I mentioned what could be more fitting during the match, but what we've seen here is a very logical conclusion to Bob and Chris Page being Bob's architect, because we've seen in several Page RPs how Bob and Fury kind of planned out this roadmap for this super faction that they benefited so much off of financially, in terms of actually being, booked so heavily on the cards and taking over Anarchy. But at the same time, they were kind of using their allies as pawns and were perfectly all right doing so. And finally, that hubris has come to bite Chris Page in the ass and to bite Miss Fury. And now what we've seen out of the ashes of Bob is something a little more terrifying, something a little more unpredictable. So it's going to be wonderful to see what rises out of there.
Elijah.
Yeah, I mean, as somebody who came in at the tail end of this story being told, um, it's definitely intriguing, especially to see not just what the evolution is from one incarnation to the next, but just to see how it affects the company from a show to show perspective. Um, do they become more centralized into one show or two shows, or do they try to maintain a widespread presence throughout all facets of the company? So it's just one of those things where I'm intrigued by it, but I just want to wait and see what happens next over the upcoming month or two, um, as far as the progression is concerned and how they're laid out across the company.
Ends a it's the icing on the cake, if you will, as far as endings of a saga. And it's going to be really good to see what happens next, with the Bastards and Ozzy and Vita. Uh, it's a nice little dynamic that's floating around out there, and I'm sure that we'll hear more about that in short order in some form or fashion. Gator, carry us on, sir.
Okay. Match 2. Got Man versus Machine with Big D versus Mr. Bob. Just a nice, tight little match. I'm not too familiar with the story here between Big D and Mr. Bob, so I'm going to throw to TK if he can help me out at all.
Well, Big D wanted to end Bob, and he has his opportunity against Mr. Bob, who is a creation of Bobby Bourbon and TK. I don't know really the story behind Mr. Bob and Big D other than the Bob name. It was a well-written match. I don't know who wrote it. Does anybody know?
It looks like a Big D match.
I believe it is a Big D match.
Well, yeah. I liked what he did. He's one of my favorite match writers, so, makes sense. Mr. Bob wins via disqualification. Going to pass it over to the Professor, Ned Kaye. Or not.
Oh no, I'm here.
Totally will.
Or totally will. So, sorry, I was too busy picking up all this pussy. Anyway.
It is stank.
Anyway. When it comes to the story behind this match and Big D's rivalry with Bob as an organization, it actually goes back to a couple of anarchies a few months ago where he was feuding with Miss Fury and came back as the Man Called D, this kind of Sting-inspired gimmick. And now it's culminated in this match at Relentless, as Gator mentioned, Man versus Machine. The creation of two of Bob's foundational members, and also one man who has stood up to the leadership of Bob before and is looking for a win here, and he just gets toyed around with in this match. He is outclassed by Mr. Bob. You see Miss Fury calling for more pain on D. and it's kind of rough to watch. But Mr. Bob wins by disqualification, so I guess we're one step closer to robot apocalypse.
Elijah?
So Mr. D would be Will Smith, and Mr. Bob would be the robots from I Am Legend, is what we're saying?
The
I Am
robots
Legend.
from iRobot.
Yes.
I
Oh.
Robot. That's oh god, yeah. Okay. Either way.
The robots from I Am Robot.
Okay.
Or the vampires from I, Vampire.
Jesus. I'm starting to notice the theme, by the way, to this show. So, good on you, whoever created the theme for this evening of action that we're reviewing. Um, yeah, I mean, it was interesting to see a man versus a machine, and as will probably happen in about 20 years' time, machine reigns supreme, and that does that.
Well, it was built by quality. You know what I mean?
Alias, your thoughts on the upcoming Robo Apocalypse?
I'm here for it. I say we all just become cyborgs so that, we're at least on the winning team no matter what. In terms of this match, Ned did a really good job of kind of laying out where D's story has come. And Big D, for as long as I've been back in the Fed, has done a really good job of putting story first. So through his work with, I think he had the internet title when I first came back in, and then that flowed on into the BWO World Championship and, well, the World Championship before that. So he's done a lot in that space, and so I went back and checked the RPs, and it was as I thought that D did get one up, and Mr. Bob didn't, which tells me D's got a story in mind again, and so that's what I'm really curious about now. Is he was unsuccessful here, but with what we saw play out at the end of the Page main match, where does that leave D in his quest to overthrow Bob? And I think that'll be something to watch going forward.
Couldn't say it about himself. Paige?
I mean, after hearing everything that's been said, there's not a whole lot that I can say that hasn't already been said. Um, good job. I mean, it's a good match to read. Every time I hear man versus machine, I hear Terminator. So I mean, it's well played.
Read
Well
Mr.
played.
Bob. He is the Terminator sent by the bastards. Watch out.
But yeah, well, good on the Terminator, Mr. Bob, pick up the win, and good job for Big D for running a good match, as he always does. Match 3, $1 billion championship. Terry Borden versus the champion, Latina Submission Machina. I think we can really skip this match because I think LSM no-showed. Am I right on that?
The only thing that's of note here is, yo, Ozzy, we did it, brother.
Yeah, which is a great ending line. But
Move
yeah,
it on.
Terry Borden drops the big leg and becomes the new champion. And I'm excited to see the new gimmick, which that involves in, if any.
You never know.
So yeah, we'll skip this one because it's a short, tight match. Match 4, Charlie Nichols versus Dick Powers in a death race match. I'm gonna go over to. Oh well, Charlie Nichols wins this match after Dick Powers gets splashed by a fucking car. We'll go over to Ned for this one, the Professor. Thoughts on Charlie versus Dick?
Well, in this 5-cent Dickles match, I'm I'm in the firm opinion that this match kicked a lot of ass. But I also just enjoy really kind of ridiculous stipulations. And you have somebody like Dick Powers, who's very 80s inspired, very promiscuous. He's riding the edge. He's edging between life and death quite often.
He's edging
And
Dick.
he's edging between life and death. Dick Powers is on the edge. And Charlie Nichols, in the same way, has been this daredevil. He's gone into so many different personas. And to just have them in an old fashioned fucking race to the death, well, that's just wonderful. We get some more traditional, style wrestling, which is always good as well. But as Gator mentioned, you gotta love ending a match with just a full-on car splash. Um, I believe Dick will be fine because I think Powers is canonically immortal, but we'll see about that. A car can change a lot of that.
You are definitely right about that. I have definitely wrote Dick in a piece where he has 100% died, only to be fine the next week. So, but we'll see. You never know. TK.
Well, Charlie picks up the win. Everybody deserves a win, and Charlie got his. And I'm just disappointed in Dick. He could have been so firm, so girthy, but he wasn't. And Charlie picks up the win here.
Dick just wasn't hard enough for Charlie. And Taco in the Pulp Mobile proved that when he ran him over. Alias.
I think this might be Charlie Nichols snapping. Could have been the longest losing streak that we've seen in a while in the XWF here. So congratulations, Charlie. At the end, it just couldn't get up in time. But yeah, that we can't just gloss over the fact that Taco was behind the wheel here. That fucking bastard pig.
Cold, calculated pig.
Now
Hot dog is way better than taco.
Oh, 100%.
Now what I want to see is Dick Powers get his revenge on Taco. Should be the story going forward.
I'm a little curious if Taco's the driver behind the Noah Jackson fiasco as well. It's a little
You never know.
interesting that
There you go.
That mystery isn't solved for now.
Some hit and runs here, but Taco may be a suspect.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah.
Do we know if is Dick in a coma or is he out of a coma? Is there someone who can reach Dick to kind of pass that information along?
Chris, are you asking if somebody can reach around, perhaps, to Dick?
I'm trying to see if someone can reach around and see if is Dick still limp after this hit and run, or is he started to kind of pump himself back up to performance standards?
Oh, God damn it!
This is the best character I've ever invented in my life.
It's just so hard not to love Dick Powers.
I was really trying not to blow up before I could mute my mic, but it was just too much.
It will be interesting to see if someone can get a rise out of Dick.
Did Ned just say that Dick is too much? I'm just clarifying that
I'm ruining it. I'm so
sorry.
Alias for the win. No, real. This Gator. I'm sorry. I'm gonna throw some props your way because I know that you wrote this match and you had fun with the stipulation. Real talk. It was a fun read and enjoy the fact that you clearly had a good time writing it. It shows.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun as well, and I'm kind of happy despite it, just being a ridiculous, dumb match, and I'm happy it got all these cameos into it as well. But I'll pat myself on the back for a second and say I'm happy I pushed the Dick and Charlie storyline a bit further because Dick pushed Charlie out of the way. He prodded him. Dick prodded Charlie out of harm's way, as you would say. And yeah, I'm interested to see where it goes after this because I don't know. But yeah, Elijah, any thoughts on Dick versus Charlie?
Well, I mean, all you guys making these dumbass penis jokes, y'all forgot something. Is that if Mr. Powers is deceased, there is a thing called the rigor mortis. So if the dick was erect at any point, it will stay hard due to the rigor mortis. So it's it's y'all just totally forgot that part. But anywho, yeah, I mean it's nice to see that Charlie can drive better than Jason Statham did in Death Race, and that's that. So good for him.
No, yeah, congrats to Charlie for winning. Dick couldn't get it up properly this week, but
Literally.
yeah. But not unlike no like disrespect to him, Charlie did put out like 2 great RPs. If you haven't read them, go read them. I thought they were really, really good. Some like amazing trash talk in his first and like story development and so on and so forth. Our next match is Marth versus, I'm hoping getting this right, Talia Ariano for the #1 contender for the brand new Super Continental title. And this ends up with Marth picking up the win. Let's go to Alias first on this one.
I've got to, I guess, full disclosure, I'm still catching up on these RPs in particular. I took a fair bit of time off reading anything after the show, but big congratulations to Marv. He knows that I think he's stellar. Really looking forward to seeing what he goes on to do next, and it's really cool to see Talia sticking around a bit as well. I think in this pod it's been spoken about before that she's popped in for matches here and there. Really looking forward to seeing if she can get the momentum behind her now.
Yeah, completely agree. I love Marth. I think he's a great RPer, really good storyteller, and yeah, it's nice to see Talia stick around. I hope she does like stick around for a good run and is around for a while because I've been enjoying her stuff as well. Ned, go to you.
Well, the first thing I want to say is that I really did enjoy this match because it was a lot of fun back and forth action between, a less frequent wrestler in Talia and one of our mainstays now, I think it's fair to say, in Marth. And she's been picking up some wins. You can tell she's got some good momentum in this #1 contenders match. But she takes some risks. You have the suicide dive that she misses and just splats on the outside. But she hangs in there. Throughout the entire match, you see that fighting spirit. You see that level of potential that I think anybody can see out of her role plays as well. And I'm really excited to see where this character goes, even though she did ultimately lose. Marth gets to come out of this looking really great with the victory, and Talia looks really great even in defeat. And I guess I'm very excited to see what else both characters have going for them, especially because Marth is now that #1 contender.
Oh yeah, totally. As well, something I forgot to mention is like again the match, like all the matches on each show have been fucking fantastic. And this match is no different. Really well written match, and I do believe Marth wrote this match. I could be wrong there, but I think he did. So shout out to Marth for writing this match as well. TK, to you next, mate.
The match was fantastic. The role plays going in, I did catch these. I was a little bit busy defending the tag titles, and I won't lie. I didn't catch everyone, but the people I did catch was Marth and Talia here. Marth picking up the win here. He's not going up against a slouch, gentlemen. He's going up against probably the hardest competitor I've gone up against, honestly. So, much love to Marth.
Okay, I'm happy you got through that a second time.
Thank you.
Elijah, let's go to you, mate.
Well, I'm glad all you Kanye West wannabes allowed Taylor Swift to finish her goddamn summary of the match. That being said, um, I'm intrigued to see what happens with the division, not just because of what happened in this match, but of what we're about to go over with the ending of the next match in this card, as well as the aftermath from that match. It creates a very intriguing picture, and we'll all discuss why in a second, because the next match was the championship match for the. So yeah, we'll get into that.
Paige.
Big shout out to Marv for taking this one home. He came into this, needing a big win, and he got it. Spotlights on him, also with the opponent, the opposition. And yes, Gator, you're 100% correct. I believe he did write this match as well.
Mhm.
So the overall flow from bell to bell was really good storytelling, which makes me go back to like the progression of the show in general. All three of these nights have, one match has led to another match, and there's been this flow of, almost like a roller coaster. Um, this played its part in the show, and it played its part within the characters, and he did a really good job of writing and putting the other character over as well. Good job for Marv. He picks up the win here.
Yeah, big shout out to Marv. Love the guy. And going into our next match, which probably might be my second favorite match, very close. Thaddeus Duke versus Matt Flynn for the brand new Super Continental Championship in a Iron Man match. And it ends with a draw, and I think we'll go into aftermath a bit later. But first, talking about the match, let's go to Chris Page.
Let's talk about storytelling. That's kind of what we all like to do, right? I had the privilege of really walking into an impromptu story with Thad that ran for months, and it was one of the best stories in a 4 or 5 month time frame that I've done. He has been trying to get Mark in the equation for so long, and it's a shame that Mark had to step away and deal with some real life shit. And he wasn't here to talk about this in general, because this was a really big deal. Um, they've been telling a story for the last 5 or 6 weeks on television, leading to War Games, where finally, Thad's been calling Mark out. It's been longer than that, actually. It's been 4 or 5 months. He's been calling Mark out. Finally, Mark Flynn answers the call at War Games. North Korean war criminal is taken out of the equation, replaced by a masked competitor. That masked competitor turns out to be Mark Flynn, and he answers the challenge with yes at Relentless. Now we get to this big match. Bill does an Iron Man match. I believe they collab wrote it, which makes it that much better. And I agree, Gator. This is definitely one of the top matches from the weekend as far as takeaways. And it just really, really top notch storytelling from beginning to end throughout all the sequences. It goes all the way down to the wire and ends in the draw. I know we're going to talk about the post match after the fact, but this match, not only, in my opinion, not only did it live up to the expectation and live up to the hype, it superseded it.
No, so yeah, fucking. I didn't know Nicole collab wrote it, and yeah, they did an amazing job with it. Elijah, let's go to you next.
Look at, this goes back to a lot of the same stuff that I was saying about the opening match between Paige and Rob. But I also have a quick question for Paige. Are you gonna start? Did you want to do an advertisement for First LA Mortgage before we go any deeper, or are you good?
Oh, I'm good.
Okay, all right.
I don't want to get sued.
Did you want to show pictures of all the championship belts around you, or you? Okay, never mind. So yeah, like I mentioned, all about the good storytelling. This was a drawn out, purposeful, methodical, well told story over the course of a number of weeks, and to see the way it culminated. Plus, I think it also really helps with the uh, the placement on the pedestal you're given this championship, because you've now rebranded it, um, and now you have to come out. You got to come out and make an impact right out of the gate. To show that, you know, yeah, we have a world. We have a world title, but this belt has good significance too. It has a lot of good workers gunning for it, and to have that kind of effort come out from both sides and create what came out was terrific in my opinion.
Alias, your thoughts?
This match was a slog. It was a war. Um, I think people have kind of summed that part up pretty well, but I just want to hone in again, especially in light of what we'll talk about in a second with the post match. Um, this match ended in a draw. So I think there's a very obvious story going forward based on the post match, but Mark Flynn, so Thad, I guess, retained the Supercontinental Championship. Is that right? And
Yeah,
then Mark Flynn did not lose, though. So
correct.
Mark Flynn will still be sniffing around, I think, and it has very much a good argument to get a rematch at some point.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like and again, even though the title is new, I still think it is a continuation of the Hart title. So yeah, I do think at the end of this match, Thad did retain technically. I'm excited to go into the post match, but first, TK, your thoughts on the match?
Oh, you guys nailed it. Yeah.
Cool. And now for Ned's long-winded discussion about it.
Oh, you know it. I do want to first say props to everybody already for really describing this match very well. However, I want to give special props to Elijah because he pointed out just the prestige that has to kind of be established by this first title defense after this rebrand. You're setting up this championship. You want it to have stakes, you want it to have power, you want it to be something that people are excited to see defended. And an Iron Man match that goes this fucking hard is what you want to see. I was blown away by this match. I love the striking. I love all of the different impact in this match. You can feel it. There is a weightiness to the words that I cannot properly describe here. If Robert Maine, Chris Page was this end of an era, battle for the ages, this was the beginning of one, especially with it ending in a draw. I mean, what other Iron Man match has fucking Oprah Winfrey? This match was amazing. I am ready to see where Mark Flynn goes from here. I'm ready to see where Thad goes from here. I am immensely excited.
You get a fall, and you get a fall, and no one else gets a fall.
Yeah, absolutely incredible match. Like shout out to both the writers, like, and the IPs were absolutely fantastic. And again, yeah, like you said, like it's you don't really see like a full hour Iron Man match, and like it to see it happen, especially in this type of match in this kind of pay per view, like it really like adds like so much prestige to it. And I too am so happy if these two ever have a rematch, which I really hope they do. But going into the
One thing
aftermath, that might be
before we
into.
move on,
Hmm.
there's one thing I wanted to mention that I forgot, and that was the very careful decision in this match to have the first fall only appear about 50 minutes in.
Mm-hmm.
These men have more on the table. I would not count out, just because where the storyline seems to be going, where we're about to get into, I would not count Mark Flynn out.
No, absolutely not. Like, if anything, this match showed us that like they're both on a even playing field. And I love Matt Flynn with all my heart. He's one of my favorite writers. Fad Duke is one of the best writers I've seen as well. So it's going to be interesting to see where they both go from this point on. But going into the aftermath, I'm going to let Paige take this away because he's more well spoken than I am.
If Relentless wasn't big enough, right? Like it's a big enough event. It's huge. It's a 3-day deal. Um, given the history that lays between Ad Duke and Corey Smith, and in character on TV, what led to, I believe, Corey's character being taken off TV was an attack by Thad, if I'm not mistaken. And Thad took his briefcase. It's fitting that on the biggest show ever, because every Relentless is bigger than the year before, and it's our WrestleMania, so it's the biggest show ever in the history of the XWF at this point. Why wouldn't you come back and exercise revenge and take away something that all right, so the Thad character is kind of like a label whore. He wasn't technically the first uh Super Continental Champion, excuse me. Uh the segment on night one said that it would be awarded to the winner of the match. That match was a draw, so there was no winner. Therefore, Thad is not the first Super Continental Champion. What better way to take revenge on someone who you thought was your best friend than by taking away that accolade of being able to call yourself the first ever? Enter Corey Smith with the briefcase cash in. I didn't see it coming going into Relentless. I had saw where he dropped some development role plays, but and to be perfectly honest, Alias, I'm in your boat. I still haven't read all of the work from Relentless. I was busy match writing my ass off. But when I saw the development role plays go up, I thought he was going to be cashing in for the uni. Did not expect to cash in here, but it totally makes fucking sense. And it adds up. Corey Smith shows up, cashes in his briefcase, defeats Thad, takes the Super Continental Championship in the process. It's a beautiful, beautiful development to an ongoing story. It's to me, this is the shit that I get off on. I mean, look at what I just did with Maine. So when you see stories like this start to unfold that have these layers to them, whether organic or pre-planned, when it comes together, you know it, right? Like you know it when you read it. This came together fucking outstanding. I don't know. I mean, applause. I love it. I'm here for it, and I can't wait to see what happens next. It almost makes me want to see a triple threat match.
That would be good. I would love to see that too. But yeah, I think you said it best, really. I'll throw it out there, like anyone else's thoughts on the Corey Smith cash in, because like I knew Corey was going to cash in. Like it just made sense for him to cash in at Relentless. I don't think anyone saw the cash in coming on the Super Continental. I think everyone thought it was going to be for the uni, but Vince Russo does all. So I'll throw the question out there, like, well, what's people's thoughts on the Corey Smith cash in?
I'll chime in. given that, yes, going into this, I had the uni, and I certainly saw those character development RPs come up. I'm like, oh shit, here we fucking go. And in his first one, he called Alias out for lethal lottery for a shot, which wound up not being the case. But I guess I just wanted to pick up that, like I said before about Big D, Corey Smith's another one of those guys who really thinks about story. And I've spoken to him briefly since Relentless, but mostly just because I was bitching him out for not cashing in on me because I kind of was looking forward to a bit of a break. But this is not the first time that he's gone and cashed in not on the Universal title. You know, if you go through the list of 24/7 briefcases and where they've been cashed in, most of them are on the Uni or equivalent. And so this is not the first time that he hasn't taken that route, and I think that really shows where his mindset is at in terms of the story. So I just wanted to give him I guess kudos on that front for trying to just tell a good story first and foremost. I have gone to the title histories on the website, and it does actually list Thaddeus Duke as the first Supercontinental Champion. So that's an interesting piece to add to the mix.
Well, then I'll just shut the fuck up.
Yeah, as you should.
Finally.
Elijah.
Well, I want to echo the sentiments of Chris as far as wanting to see a triple threat. At the very least, I like to see a rubber match between these two. Basically, I think the two options are either create a triple threat, because technically neither guy that was in the actual match lost, and then you had Corey cashing in, so you can do that. Or option B, you can go the route of having a rematch from Relentless as a number one contenders match, and then the winner faces Corey down the road. But I mean, this is all wait and see. But it definitely was eye catching. Something I honestly I hadn't paid close of attention to the character development board, so that's on me for not noticing, getting the hints. But good on him, and it definitely, again, like I mentioned, creates an extra layer of intrigue around the title. That goes beyond just the one contenders match that happened right before it on this card. So it's great to see that.
Oh, well said. And we'll go to Ned last.
So, if you gave me just a free reign, removed from any IRL stuff, to book this, and I'm saying this, and then I'll give my thoughts on the specific Corey stuff. I go lethal lottery, triple threat between the three, because that feels like it has to happen. It feels too hype not to happen. And a lot of that is due to Corey Smith and his decisively deceptive cash in. Corey, across multiple characters, has had quite a few briefcases. And it's very tempting when you have a briefcase to want to go after that top belt. I've had one. I've done that in my own unique way. But I always think it's a great choice for storylines, for characters, and especially for the belts to go for a more secondary title, because it establishes it and makes it more of a big deal. Now, the Heart, I'm not going to say that the Heart's been going through like some bad times, because it hasn't. We've had some good Heart champions, especially with Thaddeus Duke. But the rebrand, I think you distance yourself enough from that history that good storylines, good character choices always are going to make that more powerful. And that's exactly what Corey's done here. He has turned a belt that this match is already elevated and made. I would argue at this point that this could easily main event a pay per view, the Super Continental, just coming out of this match. And he's just put that nail even deeper in the ground. I am excited to see Corey finally get another huge main event style feud. And I am really happy to see how it elevates all three of them going forward. So I think it was an excellent choice. I think it was incredibly calculated.
If you don't mind me chiming in again, I feel like there's something we're failing to address in this equation that I kind of brought up, but even I fucked this up. You gotta remember the match before all this happens, we had a number one contenders match with Marv. So to me, to kind of capitalize on what Ned said, I think your two options, if you want to go that route of having a multi-way match in the lethal lottery, then you either go option A, you make it a fatal four-way because you have two guys who never technically lost, plus your contender, plus the cash-in winner, or option B, Marth is still in the match, the next title match, but then you also have Duke and Flynn rematch to determine who gets inserted as a third person in a triple threat. So we can't forget about Marth in this whole equation. As much as this match is about Flynn and Duke and then the cash in, we also got to remember Marth in this equation too. So now you got four people involved around the same belt, which again, I mean, that's just, the more the merrier in my opinion.
No, good point. Yeah, but be interesting to see what's going to happen at Lethal Lottery, and depending on who opts into the show, we could actually even see like Math and Corey team up, or so on and so forth. We could see anyone like that happen, or we could see like a great three-way or four-way or two singles matches to determine as well. TK, you're back, so I'm going to go to your thoughts. And also, I want to know if you were worried about Corey cashing in on you like he did last time. Well, that is done previously.
Yeah, I honestly thought it was going to be one of the bastards for the tag title. One of the tag titles. Corey cashing in on Thad makes 100% complete sense. I like the way it was done. I think it furthers that story. As far as where it lies, Corey's Supercontinental Champion. Marv will be challenging him at some point. As I said previous, Marv's got a tall order on his hands. I hope he can get it done.
Cool. And finally, last match of Relentless, the main event of night 3. It is the King of the XWF, Dr. Lewis DeVille, versus the Universal Champion Alias. And in what is probably, even though I've given him a ton of shit this entire podcast, probably one of the best matches I've seen this year, if not all time. And it hurts me saying that because I like taking the piss out of Paige, but he's nailed it with this one. Actually, fantastic. And it ends with Alias still being Universal Champion. And I want to save Alias to last on this one because of not just his thoughts on the match. I want to get his thoughts on the RPs and his mindset, like building up to the pay per view and going back and forth with Doc. So, since he wrote the match, I'm going to go to Paige first. Paige, what are your thoughts on Alias versus Doc?
I don't know where to begin here. I guess you got to start at the beginning.
That's usually a good place to start.
Uh, we go back to Mayday, and I talked about it on the pre-show coming into Relentless. Hype that was around Alias versus Doc for the Extreme Championship from the Fed. You couldn't ignore it. And I started pitching this back then whether it be for the championship or not for the championship. Alias and Doc needed to get back together at Relentless, and I did tell Theo that it needed to be the main event, hands down. There's no two other. There's let me backtrack. Outside of Alias and Doc, you could have put in Corey into that equation too with his briefcase, and it still would have made sense. You know what I mean? Like, but Alias and Doc as the marquee attraction was a no brainer. It took months of pitching it to Doc, and he kept blowing me off, blowing me off, blowing me off. Finally, but I found out that it was happening, and I was just ecstatic. And I said I wanted to direct the match. And Alias will tell you when we get around to him. I had to open up a chat with them because I wanted so much of their input. I was told to make it weird, and I don't do weird, so I needed a little help. And they kind of nudged me in the direction of what kind of stuff to incorporate. I'm glad that everybody liked it. I personally was really scared about that match airing because it's not my style of match. But I incorporated the ideas, and I even chatted with Theo on how I could make this work and do the things that they wanted to have done. But I think at the end of the day, I gave them what they were looking for. I hope it did anyway. It made my Relentless just because I had the opportunity to have a piece of that, because the match itself and the build to it with the competitors that were involved in it, I have the utmost respect for. And I kind of felt obligated to, since I practically begged for it, to make it something that would stand out. And I hope I did that. So Ned, I'm gonna come around to you.
Oh boy. So I do want to touch upon something that you mentioned prior, which was knowing that this match had to be marquee the second these two fought at Mayday. Because you're right, there was a ton of hype behind that match. There was a ton of momentum just in these two icons, in their own right. Alias, Extreme Champion at the time, if I remember correctly. Correct me if I'm wrong.
He was the Extreme Champion at Mayday. That was what got him his case.
Yes, yes. And Doc was coming hot off of his victory at King of the Ring. That was his first major loss afterwards. If I'm remembering everything correctly, it's kind of been a blur.
Mm-hmm.
But you see these two styles of a little more weird, a little more meta, a little more experimentation in what's going on. Give me one quick second here. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Anyway, so okay, to go back to what I was saying, here we have two writers who are very willing to go a little more existential, a little more out there, experimental with their writing and their characters. And just seeing them on the opposite sides of the squared circle made sense. It clicked. And to have it main event Relentless, this rematch that people were so damn hyped for. Oh man, that warms my heart. To go into just the play-by-play of the match, I think, while I try to do it, I don't think I can do it justice. It manages to incorporate a lot of those kind of weird elements while still being epic and paced well with that classic Chris Page attention to detail and incredible just match writing prowess. This match was easily my favorite, even though I loved Flynn Duke. This was the main event of goddamn Relentless, and you felt it in every single word. Amazing
Dude,
match.
we fucking went to goddamn heaven, and Saint Peter himself uh, got in on this action.
I know, man. I know.
We
Oh.
saw a sword fight and a abyss surrounded with fire, with Doc's caliber coming back into the equation.
Well,
We
isn't
saw
it?
we saw the
Is
moon, the real moon.
the real moon? Isn't it perfect that we started at hell to begin Relentless, and we end in heaven?
Oh.
Or is it? Wink,
Yeah.
wink.
Oh. So.
No. Yeah, I mean, you can't stop a match that literally went to the moon. Like, you just can't do that. TK, your thoughts?
The match was written by a fucking asshole, and it was still great. And at the end of the day, Alias picks up the victory. So, you know.
Good. Elijah?
So eloquent, so very, very eloquent, TK. It's funny because the more Ned spoke, I was trying to think of a visual to to pro wrestling when you're trying to think of quirkiness or like one of a kind talents that don't ever really meet, but when they do, you know you're gonna get something special out of it. And the two names that came to my mind were, and of course we've gotten a little too much of it the last couple of years, but you take John Moxley and Minoru Suzuki. Um, Minoru just looks fucking weird with the haircut. He's old as fuck. He can still go hard though. And then Moxley is Moxley. It had a similar vibe to it, where you know what to expect as far as the content. You just don't know how you're gonna get from point A to point B, and what's gonna come in between. So it was a terrific read, a terrific match, and Elias, congratulations, props to you.
And Alias, tell us about like the RPs, your mindset, like leading up to the match and the match itself, if you can.
Yeah, so going up against Doc, you always know you're going to be in for a fight. He doesn't have the reputation that he has, without good reason. Going into it, I actually told him I'm not going to do any more of that choose your own adventure bullshit. um, Not that that is what seals the deal, because he is a hell of a rider no matter what. But that was like a fucking 11K one or something the first time I did it back in May Day. Just when I was riding, I think it was the fourth RP, I had a thought, oh, actually, this story would work really, really good in that format again. So I kind of did it anyway, and then just asked for forgiveness when I apologized to him afterwards, instead of giving him the heads up that I was going back on my word. And again, that's just because it's a long RP that I kind of feel any sort of guilt about that, I guess. But going, I knew that I was going to have to kind of pull out a lot of stops, and I wasn't perfectly happy, to be honest, with my second RP. And so I thought, all right, shit, I've got to hunker down and really, really dig deep. Because when I first read his first one, I was like, oh shit, here we go. Because nobody else on any of the three nights went into the noir style like he did. And he pulled it off. He did such a good job with that it was it's pretty daunting to be like, oh shit. And then also when in the background, like, I know that we got judges here that really like this, and we all know how good Doc is, so we all know that it's quality at that style, because shitty noir can be really, really shitty. But that's not what he pulled out. So, I got the win at the end, but I also look at it as I did manage to get up a couple more RPs. We had talked about kind of setting targets. We we were hesitant to call it limits on how many we were going to do, but trying to set some targets on how many RPs we'll put up to try and put on a show for everybody. We didn't hit our targets, and I ultimately did get a few more up. Very much of the belief that had he been able to match me on that front, we could be sitting here with a completely different outcome. Because he is that good that anytime you're up against him, you could you're more often than not going to lose. I just want to, I guess, take a second as well to say thanks to Paige, because he's right. We did give him the brief, just make it weird. And you read Chris Page RPs, you read Chris Page matches. The character of Chris Page even is really one of those kind of stabilizing kind of characters in the XWF. We've got all this wacky shit going on all around, but he is there, kind of a traditional asshole heel wrestler. It's the character, and that's kind of how Page is. He writes matches as well. He's got that talent to tune into psychology and stuff like that. And here we are, an evil psychiatrist who spends time in a fucking void, and a slightly delusional kind of champion with who spends time in the fucking void in his own mind. And we just asked him to get weird with it, and he absolutely hit it out of the park. So just want to say thanks to Paige on that front.
No, fucking great stuff. And yeah, again, like Paige actually did do an incredible job. And like Alias saying, it's like, you said you got a few more up, but like, not to undersell yourself at all. Like, you again always doing amazing RPs, and like Doc with the Noir stuff. I know I love Noir. I know Phil loves Noir, so it was always like a great read with him as well. And I think that wraps us up for Relentless. There's some other bullshit that happened, but we can just completely gloss over it, ignore that, can't we?
No, we can't.
Oh,
not
shit.
allowed.
It's the boss.
What's up, boys and girls? And Ned.
He mentioned me.
Welcome to the
They
show,
told me I had
Theo
to.
Price.
What's crack-a-lackin'?
Glad that you could poke your head in here to chit chat with us about ongoings.
Yeah, I mean it was a pretty big show, right? 3 days, 21 matches, I think. I don't remember if it was our biggest one yet. I feel like there might have been one a couple years ago that might have been a little bigger, or at least like one of the days might have been like really huge. But this one we were able to really space out, and I thought we were fortunate in that we were able to get some big matches on each card, headlining each show, which was great. We had a lot of really, really great matches that were, people really, really balled out with their role plays. Great matches that were written by the staff and by the various members of our community that write matches for us. And there's just a lot of really, really, really great stuff. And then there was some not great stuff like that, discount wrestling federation known as OCW popping up not once, not twice, but thrice. I'm not happy, guys. Not happy.
Well, I don't know if I should be the one to say it, but I think somebody amongst us happened to find something in the discount aisle, because he was standing alongside those OCW boys.
Well, I mean, Alias did say that Chris Page is just kind of that cocky chicken shit heel, classic heel guy, and that's Chris Page finding an opportunity to, after getting essentially booted out of the Fed, by losing to Maine, found the opportunity to kind of stick it in our ass one last time. So that doesn't surprise me so much. But them showing up 3 nights in a row, in character is a shock. Out of character, it's something that I and Chris Page, since he was writing 2 of the 3 main events, and Will from OCW spent several weeks discussing and kind of planning out, and figuring out the details of the who's and the what's and the where's. So I felt that from an out of character perspective, it was done well. I thought it went over well. I thought it accomplished what we wanted, which was for XWF to look bad on its biggest show of the year and make OCW look like, hey, maybe Theo bit off a little more than he could chew when he was jawing at them on Twitter. Obviously reprisals will be had, skulls will be cracked, and the fun will continue. We have big plans for what we want to do in the future, but there's definitely some stuff we need to work on between now and then to kind of get there. And I will be reaching out to the various members of our Fed that are going to be involved. Some I have already, some I need to reach out to and just kind of get their thoughts and work out some details. But we have some plans, and I'm excited for them. I think, if Feds have done cross-Fed type angles like this before, I'm not aware of them, but I am not all over Twitter and I'm not all over the happenings everywhere else. But this is certainly a first for us, and I think it's started out well. And I'm excited to see how things continue to play out. And I'm excited to hear what the roster thinks, as this plays out too. Because certainly, we want to hear from them. If they think this is great, that motivates us. If they think it sucks, then it's something that we need to look at and figure out, well, what do we need to do to get more buy-in and get people happy and et cetera. And I'm sure Will in OCW is kind of having that same kind of discussion with his people as well.
I don't think we sum up Relentless any better than that. That's gonna tie a bow on this one. Theo, man, since you're in the house, there's only one way to go out. So sign us off.
Thank you, Chris Page. And from now until the end of time, fuck you, Chris Page. You traitors, cunt.
Thanks for listening to the XWF podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the XWF YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at XWF1999. And don't forget to check us out at XWF99.com. Be sure to join us next time where the action never slows down.